So, I do try and give you guys help for specific problems on your homework, but because I'm a little bit behind for making movies for your class, I decided I was just gonna give like a roundabout surface area lesson. So here are my nets. So for a surface area lesson, basically what we need to know is what shapes there are. So in a rectangular prism, there are the two small rectangles, and then there are four other rectangles, two of which will always match. So once we fold this back into a prism, the top and the bottom will always be the same, and then one side and the other side will always be the same. So if we're looking for, this is so sticky, my girls need to get a hold of it. So if we're looking for the surface area, we have front and back, side and side, and top and bottom. So you can do length times width, and since there's a front and back, which means this guy and that guy back there, you would then times that by 2. So length times width times 2. Side times side. So for this measurement, it would be this guy and that guy over on the end, because they're the sides, right? And so this one would be length times width also times 2, because there are 2 of those. For the top and bottom, it's this guy and that guy, which you would then times by 2 again, because there are 2 of them. So length times width times 2. And once you got all of those, you would then have your surface area. So you can do it this way, or you can draw out a net. So you can go, okay, since that's there are 4 rectangles on the inside and 2 on the outside. You can draw this net, label the net, find the area of each shape, and then add all those together, whichever doesn't confuse you. So I'm going to give you an example problem really quick for rectangular prism. And if you don't need a rectangular prism, you can like fast forward through the movie. But I'm going to give you a rectangular prism example. So if I have a rectangular prism with, Jordan, give me a number. Jordan, give me a number. 15. Give me another number.
40.
Give me a smaller number.
Why?
Because I want one.
10.
Okay, give me another number.
9.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. So we have 15, 10, and 9. This is not volume. This is surface area. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to label everything. Since this is 15, I know this is 15, and I know this is 15, and I know this is 15 over here. Okay, since this is 10, I know that's 10, that's 10, and that's 10. So 10, 10, 10, and 10. And since this is 9, that means that's 9, and that's 9, and that's 9. So 9, 9, 9, and 9. So now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to find the surface area of, I'm going to find surface area the first way, where I find the front and back times that by 2, side to side times that by 2, top and bottom times that by 2. So I have a square in the front of a 9 by 10. So I have 9 times 10, and since there are front and back, I times that by 2. And I go side to side. I have a 15 by 10, and since it's 15 by 10, I times 10 by 15 and times that by 2. So 10 times 15 times 2. And lastly, you have the top and the bottom. And the top is a 15, going the wrong way, 15 by 9. So then I have 15 times 9 times 2. And once you find all of these, you add them up. So, do you need help with your yogurt? Look at. Okay, so 9 times 10 is 90. 90 times 2 is 180. So then 10 times 15 is 150 times 2. All done. All done. Times 2 is 300. So I have 150 and 300. Can you go get me wipey, please, Jordan? Throw this away. Don't hit.
Okay.
Don't hit. Here. Throw this in the trash. Throw this in the trash. Throw this in the trash. Jordan, can you also throw this in the trash for me, please? Oh, thank you, Hagen. Finally. Okay, so I have 150 and 300, if you could hear those numbers. So 150. No. 9 times 2 is 18, so 180. Yeah, all gone. And then I have 15 times 9 times 2, so I know 9 times 15 is 30. And 30
Mom, here you go.
times 9, thank you. Oh, I said a wipey.
Well,
I need a wipey. My hands are sticky.
liquid.
Is there a wipey in the bathroom?
We're gonna go there.
Can you get me a wipey? So then 30 times 9. 9 times 3 is 27.
Mommy!
Seems off. Okay, I'm gonna use my calculator just to make sure I'm doing everything correctly. So 9 times 10 times 2, 180. 10 times 15 times 2, 300. And then I had 15 times 9 times 2, which is 270. Okay, I was right. So 270. Thank you so much. So now, I'll show you my board in a second. Now that I have all 3 areas for all 6 surfaces, I can add them together. So please, I asked you not to sit on the chair of this.
Why?
Because I don't want this to get ruined. So now that I have all those 3 areas, the 180, the 300, and the 270, you're going to go ahead and add those all up. So 0, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 2, 5, 7. So 750, and since we're talking about area, my answer is going to be squared. So if this was inches, I'm going to say it's units. So units squared. So 750 units squared. Okay, so that's one way. The other way I could have done this is I could have made a net. So if I made a net, instead of just labeling everything at the top, again, I would have drawn out my rectangles. And then I would have labeled everything. So I know that the long length is 15. So I'm going to go through and label all the long lengths 15. So 15, whoops, and 15, and 15, and 15, and 15. And I know one of the lengths is a 15 by 10 and a 15 by 9. Whoop, 15 by 9. And it really doesn't matter where the 9 and 10 goes, just as long as they alternate. So if this is a 9, this is a 10. If this is a 9, this is a 10, which means if that's a 10, well, if that's a 10, that means this is a 10. So 10 and 9 and 10 and 9. And since this is a 10, that also means this is a 10. So 10 and 10 and 10, which means all the extras are the 9s, because if they were to fold up, it would be 9. So 9, 9, 9, and 9. Now, since they're all labeled, you can go back through and find the area of all those shapes, and you get your answer. So that's for a rectangular prism. we're gonna go through and now do the do the area. Everything is sticky over here. Oh, I was reading the screen went black. Am I still? Yep, so recording. So, if we're looking at a triangular pyramid, what you need to know is you need to know the height of your triangle, so right here, and you need to know your base. And then for the bottom, again, you need to know the true height, and you need to know your base.
I did
And
that
then-
one.
Yeah.
No, I did that one.
Since I've given you like an idea of how this would go, since this is already like 10 minutes long, I want to try and shorten it so you guys aren't just watching me all day. So because we are looking at 3 triangles, you just need to find.
I was doing that one. I did that one.
Yes, you did. Since all these 3 outside triangles are exactly the same, you would find the area for one, times it by 3, and then you'd find the area for the last one, and then you would be done. So, for a triangular pyramid, that's how you would find the surface area. Find the height, find the base times height divided by 2, because that's how you find a triangle, and add them all together. Using your chair for a second. For a triangular prism, it's the same idea as a rectangular prism, so you would need to find the area of one of these sides and times it by 2, or again, because there are 2 triangles, you can just find the area of the base times the height. Don't divide it by 2, because then you times it by 2, and when you divide and times by the same number, it's the same as not doing anything. So the base times the height for the triangles, and then for all of these guys, they might be the same, they might not. If it's an equilateral triangle, all 3 sides are going to be the same. Since this is an isosceles triangle, you did right after I did. I'd like you to go eat your grapes at the table. These 2, this and this, so the 2 sides that like align with the leg of the triangle would be the same, and then the base would be different. So for a rectangle, it's base times height for the area. So once you find all the areas, you would then add, and it would give you your answer. The last shape I have is a square pyramid. Now for a square pyramid, this one can be super simple.
Hey, I did that one.
You did do this one. This can be super simple because all of the triangles are exactly the same size. Now, triangle, good job. So if we base times height, and the height for a triangle is not, I'm going to take one of these corners and follow it up. It's the middle to the tippy top. So base times height divided by 2. If I did that, I could multiply by 4, since there are 4 triangles in this square pyramid. And milk, yep. So because there are 4 triangles in this square pyramid, I could then, once I go base times height divided by 2, I could then multiply by 4. Or triangle, good job. Since 4 divided by 2 is 2, you could just do base times the height times it by 2, and that would give you all 4 triangles. And then since this is a square pyramid, you're finding the area of a square, so it would just be base times the height, or side. Thank you, Milk. Or base times base, side times side, and then again add all those surfaces together. And that is how you find the surface area of all of your shapes. If you want something specific, please let me know. I feel like I gave you a good example of how, like, a good strategy to solve for surface area, whether it was using the rectangular prism or anything. Those are lots different, or those are some ways you can do it. You can either draw out the net and give me the area for all shapes, or you can find the shapes that are similar and times that by how many things are similar. Message us if you need help.
Square.
You did, yeah.